Suddenly, there are rumors that Nick Saban wants to return to coaching. Now, we always believe that where there's smoke, there's fire. And if he returns, would he come to a Big Ten school? USC, Michigan, Locked on Big Ten starts right now.
You are Locked on Big Ten, your daily podcast on the Big Ten Conference. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome to Locked on Big Ten. I'm Craig Sheeman, 40 years as a sports talk show host and play-by-play announcer, and I want to thank you for making us your first listen each and every day. We are free and available wherever you get your podcasts and on YouTube, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Hit that free subscribe button down below while you're watching. We're this close to 20,000 subscribers. You can put us over the top, and that way you'll never miss a single episode. Plus, we always ask you to share, follow, and like Locked on Big Ten. Today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Right now, new customers can get $150 in bonus bets when your first $5 bet wins. So, is Nick Saban going to unretire? Where would he coach? Plus, we have the latest recruiting news, and the Hoosiers finally get a mascot. Plus, our power rankings coming up. We do that every Wednesday. So much for a slow mid-July week, right? Suddenly, rumors popped up at the SEC version of their media days, their SEC kickoff, that perhaps the greatest coach, the college football coach of all time, Nick Saban, is itching to get back onto the sidelines. And after retiring from a stellar stint at Alabama 18 months ago, following his Rose Bowl loss to Michigan, by the way, we wondered what is going on. And if he comes back, will he come back to a Big Ten school? He used to coach at Michigan State. So more on that in a moment, because we have some theories there. But first, how did all this get going? Well, former Alabama quarterback Greg McElroy, he was on a radio show, and he said he spoke to someone who insists that Saban is going to return to coaching. McElroy says that this is a source that he respects, that he actually spends a lot of time with and knows quite well. And while McElroy himself does not agree with this source's opinion, he says that this source is a notable person and that he or she he wouldn't have mentioned this comment from this about this person had he not thought that he was an important person who had some insight to this whole situation. So he thinks it's a notable person, a notable source. Otherwise, he wouldn't have mentioned it. So let's look at this. Dabo Swinney, Kirby Smart, Ryan Day, they're the only active head coaches in college football who have won national championships. This is largely because Nick Saban has been busy collecting all the hardware with his 6 national championships at Alabama between 2007 and 2023. And, of course, the other one he won at LSU. But he decided to step away from the game because he didn't like the direction that college football was heading. Players were all about name, image, and likeness money. They were all about hitting the transfer portal, trying to fast-track their way into quicker playing time, fast-track their way into a starting lineup somewhere else, instead of committing to a program and locking into developing. Nick Saban said, I'm out. So he walked away. Makes you wonder if anything's changed. So if he does have the itch to return, we do have to ask, what has changed in the last year and a half? For one, the House settlement, right? That put actual revenue share rules into place. So we kind of have rules where we had none before, sort of. Maybe he's hosted all the TV shows on ESPN, played all the golf, and done all the speaking engagements that he wants to, and he's got the competitive itch. Maybe he misses the roar of the crowd of 100,000 people on Saturdays. But he is 74 years old. Although Bill Belichick is 73 years old, and he just took the North Carolina gig. 74 is the new 64. It's young. Who are we kidding? So what's next? Every coach with a subpar 2025 season now has more pressure on them if Saban is out there and available. And especially if he's kind of secretly, not so secretly, job hunting out there. So what about Big Ten schools? Any of them be interested in Nick Saban? Well, a lot of them would be interested in Nick Saban. Would this work? Let's talk about a few. Because a few days ago, We picked apart an extensive Big Ten hot seat list that CBS put out. I thought a lot of it was garbage. It had Wisconsin's Luke Fickell at the top of the list, and we thought that was ridiculous. We torpedoed that whole idea. He's not going anywhere. He just got a contract extension. The next two people on the list were interesting, worthy of a conversation. They were USC's Lincoln Riley and Maryland's Mike Locksley. Locksley, by the way, a former Saban coordinator at Alabama. Now, we never condone for coaches to get fired or revel in any of that here. But if it's going to happen, we got to talk about it. We got to analyze it. We got to give you our opinion on it. That's what we do here. So, by the way, CBS also had Sharon Moore at Michigan very high on its hot seat list, which I also thought was garbage. And we stand by the fact Moore isn't going anywhere at Michigan unless the NCAA comes back from their June hearings with the school about the whole Spygate situation, and they say, look, we got these text messages with you and Connor Stallions. We don't like this. Multi-time offender. The 2-game self-imposed suspension is not enough. We're going to lay the hammer down. And if by laying the hammer down, give him like a 2-year show cause where he can't coach, then Michigan will move on. Then maybe you have the Nick Saban conversation. But it would take that kind of perfect storm in order for that Michigan job to open up this year. And I just don't think it's going to. Maryland, we don't need to talk about that. Maryland has a disaster of a name, image, and likeness. They're way underdeveloped there. They lost their basketball coach this year because of it. So Saban's not going to Maryland. We can rule them out. But USC, what about USC? Lincoln Riley is under immense pressure to win this year. And if that job opens up, then I think maybe that would be on Saban's short list if these stories are true that he wants to get back into coaching. Like Alabama and LSU, this is a big-time gig. Big time. And you can win there. Pete Carroll proved it. And if they paid Lincoln Riley $110 million to come there, how much would Saban command with all of his championship trophies? Their name, image, and likeness and revenue revenue sharing is fully developed at USC. And they're just now finishing up a brand new multi-million-dollar state-of-the-art football facility. Everything he had at Alabama, he's got it, except it's newer at USC. So the money's there, the desire's there, the history of the program is there, the facilities are there. Plus, if Saban went there, he would be inheriting the #1 recruiting class in the country. We got to give Lincoln Riley credit there. He, and along with his new general manager there, they've got recruiting dialed in. And do you think that they would have trouble keeping any of those kids through a coaching change if Nick Saban was the coaching change? No. Every one of them would stay. In fact, they'd probably get even more kids come out there to play. In the meantime, I would expect here in the next day or week or whenever for Nick Saban to say something. He's going to be asked about it. Somebody's going to put a microphone in front of his face and ask him about it. And he's going to say he's not interested in coming back, or he's going to deflect the question for now and buy himself some time if he really does want to come back. But the real question, it's going to be coming up all season long as he sits on a national TV panel every Saturday on ESPN Game Day. It's going to be like the elephant in the, no pun intended, with the Alabama elephant. It's going to be the elephant in the room for this whole thing. Things could get a little uncomfortable from time to time as he's out covering the biggest games and the biggest teams. And these coaches, maybe some of the coaches that we'll be looking at, they're going to be out so we can get Saban in. Even if he denies everything and denies his interest just out of politeness and respectability to coaches who still have jobs, we've seen his denials for other jobs before, and they haven't gone so well. I mean, we remember when he was coaching the Dolphins and he emphatically said he will not be coaching Alabama. And then the next day he was coaching Alabama. It happens. Anyway, we're going to keep our eye on this. I would love to hear from you guys in the comment section. First of all, do you think Saban's coming back, or is it just smoke? I mean, is it nothing? If he does come back, do you think any of these Big Ten schools are viable places? There are other non-Big Ten schools that got brought up. You know, Brian Kelly was sitting there going, it'd be great to have Nick Saban back in college football. Wherever he goes, he wins championships. Well, there's a rumor that if LSU doesn't have a great season this year, Kelly's out, and then Saban could go back to LSU. By the way, he said worst move of his career was leaving LSU, because that's when he left and he went to the NFL, went to the Dolphins, and it didn't work out. But he would have never gone to Alabama if that were the case. So a lot of interesting moving pieces, possibilities, rumors. Get it dialed in. I would love to hear from you on where you are on this. Is it coming back or not? Hit me up with the comments. Also, hit that subscribe button down below, and that way you'll never miss a single episode, and help push us to 20,000 subscribers by the start of football season. Share, follow, and like Locked On Big Ten as well. And don't forget, we've got a website at talkbig10.com where all of our podcasts go, and you can get your favorite team school merchandise there ahead of the 2025 season at talkbig10.com. All right, still lots to do. We have some recruiting news to get to. And also, Indiana now has a mascot. Who knew? Did you know that Indiana and Michigan are the only two schools in the Big Ten without actual mascots on the field? Indiana's taking care of that. I don't know how I feel about it, though. We'll do that. Plus, we'll have our power rankings, which we're going to dust off our old mascots power rankings now that Indiana's got one. Going to have a lot of fun. All that coming up in 1 minute right here on Locked On Big Ten. FanDuel makes excitement of watching games even more exciting. Got a little something on it. FanDuel is great. I mean, summer sports in full swing. Coming off the All-Star game of baseball, the second half of the season. Whether you're about baseball, golf, we got the Open this week across the pond. High-stakes soccer. You can get in on the action on all of that with FanDuel, the best way to make every game even more exciting. So you're already following the action. Why not get a little more thrill out of it with FanDuel? You can get in on your game while your friends are, getting sunburned at the beach. You're going to win some action here. The FanDuel app, super easy, very easy to find stuff on there. They have fast payouts in addition to it being easy to use. And it makes regular season games feel like postseason games. Very exciting. Check it out. Have a same game parlay. Watching a bet ride in the ninth inning. That little excitement you all get as you're closing in. FanDuel makes you feel like you're part of the action. If you are new to FanDuel, new customers can bet $5 and get $150 in bonus bets if your first bet wins. Open the FanDuel app today and visit FanDuel.com and get started. That is at FanDuel.com. Thanks for making Locked On Big Ten your first listen each and every day. We always appreciate that, especially you everydayers out there. Thank you. Meanwhile, be sure to hit that subscribe button down below and push us to 20,000 subscribers before the start of football season. That way you'll never miss a single episode. And if you don't mind, share, follow, and like Locked On Big Ten as well. And check out our website, talkbig10.com. Let's get into recruiting here. All recruiting eyes are still on five-star running back Savion Hyder. Well, everybody had him as a five-star except Rivals. They're late to the party on this. But better, late than never, I guess. They upgraded him to a five-star. Again, we've all been calling him a five-star all summer long as he was looking at Michigan for a while, Ohio State, and Tennessee. It's between Michigan and Tennessee now for his services, but that's going to be north of $1 million in revenue share money. He is going to get paid. And the highest bidder probably on this deal. We've praised Michigan State for recruiting this summer. A lot of 3-stars. Well, again, a lot of these rankings are getting updated, and a lot of their 3-stars are being upgraded to 4-star players. This is pretty good for Jonathan Smith. You got wide receiver Tyron Wortham, offensive tackle Colin Campbell, offensive lineman Eli Bickle, and quarterback Cade Kaufman, all upgraded to 4 stars. Michigan State's got 22 commits, and they're looking at a top 25 class this year. Keep an eye on Wortham, the wide receiver, Tyron Wortham, because even though he's committed to Michigan State, now he's upgraded from a 3-star to a 4-star. Auburn just offered him a scholarship. They're trying to flip him. The kid had 30 offers, decided on Michigan State, and now Auburn is coming in there. We'll see. We'll see. Back to the 5-stars. Let's talk about them for a minute. Defensive back, Davon Benjamin. He announced his final 5 schools. 3 of them are from the Big Ten: Michigan, Oregon, and Washington. The other 2 are Texas and North Carolina. We've talked about him before on our podcast. He's like a multi-position guy. He can play any secondary position: nickel, safety, corner. He can play receiver. He can return kicks and punts. This is a guy you want on your team. It's just one of these guys that every team needs to have, that kind of guy. He's from the West Coast, though, Westlake Village, California, and maybe that gives the edge to Oregon and Washington being out west. This is going to announce on August 2nd. 5-star offensive lineman Darius Gray. He narrowed his list down to 5 schools. He's 6'3", 285 pounds. He's from Richmond, Virginia. Kid's got 45 offers. I had 0 offers. I asked schools to take me in. He has 45 offers. Ohio State is one of them. Tennessee, LSU, Clemson, and South Carolina also on his list. Let's talk about UCLA for a minute. Having an up and down week. Defensive lineman Marcus Almada from Tabor High School, and now his teammate, edge rusher Carter Gooden, have both committed to the Bruins. Now, the Bruins are looking for a 3rd linebacker to bring in. They got a couple for this class. They want a 3rd one, and they've been dialed in with South Carolina Gamecock commit Rodney Colton. However, Colton has just pared down his list to Florida State, Colorado, and Ole Miss. So South Carolina's out, UCLA's out, unfortunately. Still keeping their eye out for other options to bring in a 3rd linebacker for the class of 2026. And I got some news out of Rutgers. You know, they're having trouble finding an athletic director. University president William Tate, he named Matthew Colagiovanni, and he's the current deputy athletic director of facilities and the acting athletic director now. He's been with the program forever, but he's going to run things for a while. He steps in for Ryan Passeri, who left to become the athletic director at Tufts. Passeri had been the interim for the past 11 months since the previous original athletic director, Pat Dobbs, had to abruptly resign last August amid an investigation into a consensual but inappropriate relationship he was having, or said to be having, with one of his coaches. So we can't have that here. So he's gone, and they've had some trouble filling this position. They hired a search firm back in April to help them fill this spot. And the Indiana Hoosiers making a lot of news here. You know, they're coming off their best football season in the history of the program with 11 wins and a playoff appearance. One knock against the Hoosiers is their non-con schedule. It's pretty light. And that seems to be the theory they're going with. They're convinced that the selection committee looks at the win-loss record more so than strength of schedule. So you come in at 11-1, that looks pretty to them. They're going to put you in. And Indiana's been shedding some of its other Power 4 games, non-conference games on its schedule. Recently got rid of a home-and-home with Louisville. Now they're buying out Virginia from a home-and-home to the tune of $500,000, and they're adding home games against Kennesaw State in 2027, Austin Peay in 2028, and Eastern Illinois in 2029. Admittedly, not powerhouses of college football. So, and I'm an Indiana Hoosier grad. So on a lighter note, the Hoosiers and the Wolverines are the only 2 teams in the Big Ten that don't have some sort of mascot roaming the sidelines. After all, with Indiana, what is a Hoosier? I grew up there. I don't know exactly. A Wolverine, we know what it is. You can have a scary-looking Wolverine mascot, but Michigan doesn't do it. So, after a 56-year absence, the Hoosiers are bringing back the Bison mascot. Now, I know you hear Hoosiers, and that doesn't really scream buffalo or bison or anything, but apparently there's a little history in place if you go back 56 years. Indiana used to have a bison mascot from 1965 to 1969. And by the way, those were the glory days of Indiana football. They made the Rose Bowl in 1967. They're like, hey, we're successful now. Let's bring them back. It was scrapped due to a lack of support from the fan base back then. And last year, the student body got together, the Student Body Congress, and they passed the Bring Back the Bison Act, which called on the university to bring back the old Bison mascot. So They're going to do it starting this year. Also, believe it or not, and again, I grew up most of my childhood in Indiana. I did not know this, but there is some Bison history with the state. Before it became a state, like 200 years ago, the territory of Indiana, not the state of Indiana, the territory of Indiana. The official seal of the territory of Indiana featured bison, multiple bison running in the background. And it was featured on official territory of Indiana documents back in the day as well. Who knew? They didn't teach me this in school. So the Hoosier Bison will make its debut at the Hoosiers season opener against Old Dominion on August 30th. Can't wait to see it. That leaves Michigan. It's the only Big Ten school without a mascot. So the ball's in your court, Michigan. Do something about it. All right. We do power rankings in the middle of the week. I thought we'd dust off an old power rankings, mascot power rankings, given the that Indiana is added to the list. A little encore performance, and we'll have that coming up. We'll see where your school ranks out of all 18. Actually, 17 now. Michigan still needs one. Indiana has one. That's all coming up here in 1 minute right here on Locked On Big Ten. All right, it's time for our power rankings. We do this each and every Wednesday. So today's power rankings, we're going to look at mascots since Indiana's getting one. Let's put it on screen. If you're audio only, we'll describe it in detail. It's just a list 1 through 18, and we're going to rank all the mascots here. I've got the Oregon Ducks number 1. I love the Oregon Duck. Great addition to the Big Ten. He travels around the country, shows up at places, comes out on a motorcycle. What's cooler than that? I really like that. So there you have it. By the way, actually modeled after Donald Duck from Disney. Disney tried to sue once upon a time Oregon to change the design of their duck. They produced photos of the Oregon Duck mascot and Walt Disney himself side by side. So they figured he approved of it. Case closed. Got to keep the duck the way it is. At number 2, USC, Tommy Trojan, and of course his traveler, the White Horse. That's a good combo. Good mascot. Good classic mascot. At number 3, we've got Michigan State. I love Sparty. Sparty is strong, big, good-looking mascot. You're not going to mess with him. Got the strong jawline. Yeah, pretty good. That's a good mascot. At number 4, we have ranked. These are our rankings, by the way. Ohio State. We're not copying anybody else and saying here yay or nay on any of these. Ohio State, Brutus the Buckeye. Pretty good. He's got the big giant head. Very easy to spot. Looks friendly. Nice. Got a human body. He's in shape. Does a lot of push-ups. He's good. I've got Wisconsin and Bucky Badger. Bucky Badger, I've said, is a little scary looking. So on the sideline, yeah, maybe scare the opponent. I get it. If you're, a kid and you want to buy a doll in the souvenir shop, it might be a little scary for your kid. Iowa's Herky the Hawk, very underrated. In fact, I could move the Iowa mascot higher than 6, but he's a hawk, got the black feathers and a yellow beak, matches the uniform. He wears the uniform. I believe his name is Hercules. Looks good. Looks good there on the sideline, particularly in a night game at Kinnick Stadium. Rutgers coming in at number 7. Sir Henry the Scarlet Knight, much like Sparty. Very good-looking, strong mascot. Very good. At number 8, we've got the Washington Husky, Harry the Husky. Looks fantastic. Correct me if I'm wrong, Washington fan of the comment section. Don't you have 2? Isn't there like Harriet as well? Isn't there a male and female version that roam the sidelines at Washington, if I'm not mistaken? UCLA, Joe Bruin. Pretty good looking mascot there. Got that at number 9. And then I'm going to give some love to Northwestern. A good looking mascot, Willie the Wildcat. It's been in place since 1933. We don't have a lot going on with Northwestern. Their team struggles. So we threw him a bone with the mascot, put it in the top 10. Not too bad, right? All right, let's see what else we got. The best of the rest. They're all great. Well, most of them. I have a complaint. I'll give it to you in a minute. Purdue, they got Purdue Pete with the giant head. it looks good on TV. They got the world's biggest drum. They got all those kind of things going on at Purdue. At number 12, Nebraska, Herbie Husker. You know, you got the overalls, the giant hat. It's a pretty good mascot, I think. I like that. I like all of them, just about. Now, Maryland. I got Maryland at number 13. Testudo Turtle. Looks like one of those Ninja Turtles. So, it's okay. That's all right. Minnesota at 14 with Goldie the Gopher. Starting to lose some power rankings here. They're okay. Illinois had to change things up. They went with Kingfisher in 2020. It really hadn't caught on yet. The one I have a big problem with is Penn State. Penn State and the Nittany Lion. This has been the mascot since 1904. I mean, quick math, that is 121 years. And to be honest, it looks like they haven't made a single change or update in 121 years. Literally, the Penn State Nittany Lion, when you see him at games, literally looks like a costume that has been shoved in the attic. It looks like it probably, if you look at it closely, probably has some mothballs, holes in it, from moths. It doesn't look good. It is out of all these teams, it needs a major, major update. The Nittany Lion. I'm going to stand by my statement. I may get some criticism from you Nittany Lion fans in the comment section, but that's fair enough. And then look, I put Indiana. They got the new Bison. We haven't seen it yet, so I can't really rank it higher than 17. The only reason I have it above 18 is because they have a mascot, and now Michigan doesn't. They don't have a Wolverine on the sidelines. So I'll put Indiana in at 17. Once we see it in August, the next time we update this mascot power ranking, I'll move it up significantly. So there you have it. That is our updated list. We did this several months ago. Our mascot power rankings. We always do power rankings on Wednesday. If you're new to the podcast, we do something special at the end of every single podcast that makes us different from other podcasts. We have these features, benchmark features. Mondays, we do our top 10 Big Ten observations from the weekend. Tuesdays, we do Tuesday tweets. Go ahead and follow us on Twitter or X at Talk Big Ten. If you put a tweet out there I'll put it on the show. Wednesdays, we always do some sort of power rankings like this. Thursdays, tomorrow, we'll look at the Big Ten Network and the programming over the weekend. This time of year, they'll do a lot of great Big Ten classics and go back and watch some old-timey games, get out of the heat, get in the air condition, watch some old football, sometimes basketball games from yesteryear, and it's always fun to go back at a time. And then Friday, we make some sort of picks or predictions as well. So anyway, I hope you enjoyed that list. In the meantime, a couple of things. Follow us on Twitter at Talk Big Ten. Our website, talkbig10.com. All of our podcasts go there. Plus, you can get school merchandise right there. Click it on for your convenience. Get yourself ready for the 2025 season. But before you go, two things. Please hit the subscribe button. And that way you'll never miss a single episode. But you can help us push our way to 20,000 subscribers by the start of football season. We're at like 19,600-ish. Started with 1,000 2 years ago. Really grown thanks to you guys. Also, go back and check out a second listen or maybe catch a podcast from Lockdown Big Ten that you missed earlier this week. Got a lot of them out there every single day. Tell your friends we're out here every single day. New podcasts every day. Big Ten, all 18 teams, news, opinion, and analysis. Makes us unique. And we have audio and video versions as well. So check that out. Or yet another option, you can check out our friend Brian Smith at the Portal Show. It's doing great. Everything, all thing transfer portal right there. Check that out. Find the Portal on YouTube wherever you catch your podcasts as well. That'll do it for us here today. Thank you so much for checking us out. We always appreciate it. We never take it for granted, and we can't wait till we talk again tomorrow. For Locked On Big Ten, I'm Craig Sheeman. We'll talk to you next time.